And let's welcome to the studio a proper pop star. I think actually though, welcome Bonehead.
Hello.
A.K.A. Paul of Oasis days. But actually, I think Kevin Cummins has ruined your reputation now because he said that whilst Liam and Noel were fighting and all the other things, you were the good boy.
And rightly so. I was listening and I was in the green room and I thought, let's just hear what he says. But
so
yeah,
it's your time to reply, respond. Is that fair or not?
It's probably fair, yeah. People always say yeah, you know, when it did start, when it looked as if it was going to fall apart or there was fights or there was this, that, the other, people always said, Bonehead held it together, he got him. But I think I was the only one who wasn't scared to jump in.
Yeah, well, actually, you were in the band before it was the band, weren't you? You were in the band before Liam, the little brother, joined.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you did with Noel Gallagher? You and your mates got together, Noel was one of them, and you played a few clubs around Manchester and that kind of thing. And
that's all we did, yeah. We rehearsed at a club called the Boardwalk in Manchester. They had rehearsal rooms underneath in the basement, which is where we rehearsed. And we used to play every other week. We'd get a gig supporting somebody upstairs. And we're just sort of local gigs, really. I mean, we couldn't afford to hire a van, really, and travel and go around the country, you know. So just small local gigs, whatever we could get.
And was that fun? Was it, you weren't like living on the proceeds or living the life?
No, we weren't earning anything.
Were you having fun, though?
Yeah, we loved it. We loved it. I mean, we were in that rehearsal room 7 days a week, 7 nights a week, anyway. Every night, and religiously, you know.
Could you tell then that your mate Noel was going to be one of the most successful songwriters of his generation?
Probably got an idea. I mean, originally it was me, Liam, Griggs and Tony without Noel. Noel, we did a gig and Noel had just come back off tour. I'm sure everybody knows the story, you know. Yeah. And he came to see us and then he came down to sort of jam with us. And he just, you know, we were jamming. He's like, all right, I'll play one of my songs that I've written. And he was just churning them out, Live Forever, you know, and Cigs and Alcohol and
just
all
like
around
that.
the world, just like you do. So I think it was pretty immediate. You know, when you hear a song like that for the first time, you know there's something there. I mean, how far it was going to go, we couldn't have guessed. But yeah, we knew there was something there. Of course we did.
And were you consulted then? What was the dynamics of it by the time Liam joined? Who was running the show then?
Well, Liam was in before Noel, wasn't he?
Yeah, sorry, the other way around, yeah.
But no one was really running the show. I mean, Noel was always a leader in the sense of the word. You know, he was sort of, he took a lot of control, and rightly so. And he's really good. You know, I think whatever business Noel might have been in life, he'd have run it well, and he'd have got to the top of it because that's the way he ran things. So there was, you know, that was the dynamics. You know, was us as people.
Yeah. What when it was all really taking off and you were living the life and everything was at your feet and you were selling millions of records and touring the world, was it a good thing then to be with a couple of siblings? I'm only saying this because I've got a brother in the same industry. We fight like mad and people go, well, you two stop it, and they get a bit edgy about it. And
it never felt like that for me. I mean, yeah, there were moments, but where it kind of felt stressful, but it was probably more stressful because we became so successful so quickly. I mean, we were sort of used to two brothers sort of having a bit of a bicker backstage or whatever in a rehearsal, in a sound check. But because we became so successful so quickly, before you knew it, if they had an argument in a sound check or whatever, it was front page news. You know, so it gave a whole different thing to it. You know, it wasn't just like, yeah, all right, they've had an argument. It was like, yeah, they've had an argument, now it's all over the front pages, you know, and that happened, it felt overnight, you know, so for us it wasn't hard to deal with.
Well, when you say it happened overnight, that's when Definitely Maybe was released in 94. And just to put this album into perspective, which is why we're so thrilled to get you on today, because when you feature in the 90s on a radio station like we are, and then the boss decides you're going to feature 94, and then you think, oh, 94, and you think, what album 94? And you think, Oasis, Definitely Maybe. And then I see that you're on Twitter and I nobble you to come in. It's all come together. Yeah. So just to put it into perspective, why this is such a coup and why this album is so special. Not just, you know, because I love it, and people out there love it. It was named the 14th. Are you ready for all the accolades?
Go on.
It was named the 14th greatest album of all time in a Music of the Millennium poll conducted by HMV Channel 4, The Guardian, and Classic FM. Crikey.
Classic FM,
yeah.
right.
In Channel, it's not that boring, is it? In Channel 4's 100 Greatest Albums countdown in 2005, you got in at number 6. Also in 2006, NME placed the album third in a list of the greatest British albums ever.
Who was second?
Second was the Stone Roses. And all that had only put number one position, mate. Do you want to have a guess?
Say that again.
They'd only put number one position,
What
mate.
accent's that?
It's been a disc jockey.
Oh, right, go on
I'll
then.
try it sometimes,
right,
you know.
Go on, yeah.
What do you think the number one was?
Number one? I don't know.
Another Manchester band. They dominated this list. The greatest albums, British albums ever. Number 3, You. Number 2, the Stone Roses. Number 1,
Go on.
the Smiths. The Queen is Dead.
Really?
Yeah, you're not being on my pop quiz team.
I'm not. I'm rubbish.
In 2008, a poll by Q, tell me when you're bored, a poll by Q and HMV said Definitely Maybe ranked first
Yes,
on the
that's
list
more
of the
like
greatest British albums ever. And you were number 42 on the Rolling Stones list. That's the magazine, not the band. 100 best debut albums of all time.
It's all right.
Who cares about Rolling
Who cares?
Stone?
I
eh?
don't care.
The German edition of Rolling Stone. Oh, I'm not even saying
No,
it.
go on.
You were-
I don't like the
You
German
were
edition.
straight in with a bullet. The top 500 and number 156,
That's
mate.
more like the voice. That's more like the voice.
Right, I'll tell you what. Instead of talking about this album, shall we have a tune off it?
Yeah, go on.
Well, I think we'll have the opening track. Okay, we can talk now. You see, I did have the courtesy, Bonehead, not to dive in like a lot of DJs would do on the guitar solo.
Right, I can hear you
Yeah.
now. That was probably the loudest
Yeah.
radio studio I've ever sat in. Ever.
Well, we've got these speakers and nobody ever uses them.
You do. You not playing havoc with me tinnitus there.
I only
There's
turned them up to 5.
500 it sounded like. That was
That
loud.
was like being at a festival for
Yeah,
me.
it's good.
What's your favourite moment? Because I was saying making a fool of myself in front of my kids. They're going, Mummy, you're so embarrassing. And I'd put my Parker hood up and I'd stand my hands behind my back and say, and I stood on the coffee table once and I had a few drinks now. You think you're Liam Gallagher, Mummy? Stop it.
That's what I was just saying to you when you were blasting it, but I don't think you could hear me. I just said, you bet you're a nightmare when you've had a pint, you, and you were doing that dance. And
I'm a nightmare. Right, tell me, Kevin Cummins has told us loads of stories. And
Not
the
true.
broadcastable
Fake
ones.
news.
Tell us a story, Bonehead. You know what? Tell us about some rock and roll excess.
I can't remember any rock and roll.
Oh, well, if you
excess.
were-
You'll
they
have to
say
wait.
that.
You'll have to wait for my book.
When's
I'm giving
that?
nothing away. Never.
Oh, they say if
all
you
in
can't
there.
remember it, you had a good
do you
time.
know what? I mean, I could tell you a million stories.
Yeah,
coming
I'm not-
about
I don't
Oasis, But
really.
you know what? Everyone's probably, you've heard them all before, I'm sure. I'm sure there's nothing I could tell you.
But you don't betray friends'
you've not
confidences
heard.
anyway. But what's
No.
the best moment for you? Was there a moment when you stood on the stage and you thought, you know what? This is great. This is life.
Yeah, I mean, too many of them. People always say that. What was the moment for you in that band? I think my moment, the biggest moment for me in that band was actually being in the band. Every day was a moment, and it's hard to say. I think the first time we got on a plane, we were flying to Japan. You sort of sit around and look at your mates sat next to you. You think we're actually flying to Japan to play this music.
And you went in economy.
That's a massive thing. We were.
You
We
were?
were at the
Oh,
back.
right. Oh,
but it was all right. You could smoke on planes that day. So them days, so that was great. Just at the back. But walking out on stage at Main Road,
Yeah.
even not being a City fan, that was just an amazing thing. I spent so many weekends there when I was young, watching City. And just being to a home crowd like that and getting out of a helicopter at Nebworth, come on, it's something dreams. It's not in your dreams, isn't it? But
I was going to mention Nebworth because when I asked the same question of Bill Wyman, I'm that boring, I asked the same questions, but he said straight away, he says, walking on stage in Hyde Park in 1969.
yeah.
And I wondered if it was big for you to do that at Nebworth.
massive. I mean, you'll never forget that moment, and we sort of sat down and watched the documentary Supersonic earlier this year. And it really brought it back there because it opened with us at Nebworth, coming out on stage. And it felt like yesterday. And I really got that feeling that I had on the day. It just all came back to me. Yeah, it was massive, massive feeling.
Now, you've got kids now and a family and,
Yeah.
You're still behaving yourself.
Yep.
And you've got some music projects on the go. Do you miss jumping out? Do you miss the adrenaline of the jumping on the planes and standing on
Not
stage?
jumping on the planes. No, you know what? I don't miss the travel. And people always say that. They always say, "How can you complain about traveling?" But try doing it. You know, I mean, we did gig a lot. If you look back on Oasis gigography, you know, we never stopped. We really didn't stop.
No.
We were just out, and it was gig after gig after gig, which meant jumping on planes, sitting in airports, and that is a really boring bit about being in a band. It is, no matter what people say. People are, "Oh, chop my leg off to do that." You would, but I don't miss that side of it. But yeah, of course I miss getting out on stage, you know, and seeing 40,000 people just erupting when you walk out. Yeah, of course I do.
Well, you've done, but the thing is, you've done it. And
yeah, I've been there and I've done it, you know.
Yeah. And as a dad now, with a musical lad, even though he was dead modest when he first came in, he's coughed up now, he plays about 10 instruments. What's your advice to people like your lad and my 22-year-old? What, you know, if you look back and say, right, if there's one thing I want to tell you to make the most of it or avoid.
Well, I don't think there's anything I'd say avoid. I'd just say get out.
Just take everything.
You know, if you're going to do it, if you want to be in a band, then just get out and enjoy it and do it like you mean it.
But don't you think that's why Oasis really hit the spot with the public and was so successful? It wasn't just the songs. It was that vibe that you were clearly living the life and living the dream.
We were, you know, and some people, you know, yeah, we were mad. We did some mad things, but that's the way we were. We didn't pretend to be anybody else. We still were us, you know. And if I see Liam now, Liam's still that Liam that I knew then. You know, he's not changed into this person, and that goes for everybody in the band.
Well, you are with your oldest friends, aren't you?
Yeah, but we always were that, and we always were us, and that's how we stayed. No, I think people could relate to the way we were and the way we dressed and the way we talked and the way we acted, really, you know, in public. You know, we just acted the way we did. And I think people looked at it and thought, you know what, they can do it. They're just like us. Maybe we could do it, you know. And I think that's why we inspired so many people to maybe pick up guitars or, you know.
Yeah, well, I was once, I found the thought for me, I was once asked things that had, you know, to name 3 things that had really changed Manchester from when I was growing up. And it was a bit black and white and grey and miserable and, you know, run down and still bomb sites. And I always say Alex Ferguson and whatever he was called, the chairman of Manchester United, and the way that they turned it, no disrespect to City, the way that they turned it around. No, and you know, this isn't a facetious remark. The IRA bombers, because the whole of the city centre had to be rethought, redeveloped, and Oasis. And I think that's fair comment. You can't disagree with me.
Yeah, I can't disagree. No, I'll go with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, because there's been nothing in it for you. You haven't got a book to flog.
I'm not getting paid. I'm off.
Right.
No, not at all. No, it's absolutely my pleasure.
It's lovely to meet you. And talking of your oldest friends, one of my oldest friends, I've known her for 30 odd years. She's quite prim, and I once said to her, "What's your favourite song when you're driving in the car?" I could not believe it.
Go on.
She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, but when she's on the M6 with her toe down,
go faster,
she rocks out to this one.
Yeah, do a
Bonehead, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Right,
Cigarettes and alcohol straight after the show. Yeah.
See you later.